All right, so to start off, before we start, I have this for you. This is just the more descriptive parts of our thing that you can look at while we're presenting to you. Behind you also is our scrum board. So we're going to start today. Do you want to start?
So we were the morning team for the Rube Goldberg machine project. This is Will and I'm Nate.
So we're going to start off by giving you some background information. Rube Goldberg was a cartoon creator, most famous in the 1930s for creating cartoons of redundant machines with very complex parts, but solving a very simple task. So, but he never actually built a machine like this, so that's where we come in. And our project is to design a Rube Goldberg inspired machine for the space. And our current problem is asking our Google Home the time, because I'm just too lazy to lift up my watch from my wrist, so.
So the first thing we did when we first got the project parameters was to begin brainstorming what we wanted the machine to do. So the first thing we had to decide on was, what is the function of the machine? So ultimately we decided on we were going to use the Google Home and have it tell us the time. We had several other ideas that we can go through if you think it would be better to look at those. Another thing that we had to do after that was decide what parts were going to actually be a part of the machine to lead to the final function. So we had several ideas. Some of the ones that we ended up not using were the incline water, which would have been a container of water pouring down an incline into another container of water, which would counterbalance something to activate another part. But we ended up deciding on 12 different parts that we will describe to you in a minute.
All right, so next we use the scrum board as a thing. We're just gonna breeze over this because you obviously know what it is. So it's an organization helper where we start a task, help follow them with the big picture tasks and learning, doing, done. So this is kind of what it looked like throughout the process with the calendar and whatnot.
So the next thing we did, as we had the stuff organized, we realized that one of the tasks we had to do was start to obtain materials so that we could get some idea generation from looking at what we were actually going to use in the machine. So we went to Will's house, got a batch of stuff, some junk that he wasn't going to use, and came up with some really cool ideas for parts. We also have a wish list of materials we will still need to make this actually come together if we were to design it, and our budget for that is $90 to $100.
Yep, we will show you the wish list at the end. So, and this is some of the materials that we have. All right, so I'm going to get you started here. You also have the same copies of these, so you can look at them in a little bit more detail. But we're just going to kind of breeze through these because these are more descriptive. We're just going to go over the big picture. So we're going to talk about the start. So our start of the machine is right here, this will be mounted to the wall. This is a pull start for an old lawnmower engine. So how you'd start it is that there is a pulley on the back that would connect to an axle and to a sprocket, which would have a chain go through the top. And you'd start by pulling it, and then we go on to the next.
The next part is some bike wheels, so that pole will rotate a chain connected to belts on several bike wheels, and we will have to work with this to make sure that the force generated is not too much or too little.
Yep, we need to watch the torque ratios so that we obviously wouldn't rip it off the wall, but have enough power to get it through the machine. We're going to kind of breeze through all these really quick because you have them right in front of you. You can ask questions. We just kind of want to finish this for a timely manner for you. So go through till the end where we have everything together. So if you're going to scroll to the last couple pages in that binder that you have, you can see this is our grand finale, so I'll explain how the end works here as soon as you flip there. Alright, so basically there's going to be a plunger that a ball is going to hit, which will knock the plunger out, knock it onto a switch on this fan right here, turning it on, which in turn will, with this fan, will blow a birthday card open with a card module, which is one of those cards that have like the Hallmark cards that sing the songs or whatever. We're going to have one hardwired, which I have the know-how to do, and we can make someone like Mark say, okay Google, what time is it, on the card, so then Google will then respond with the time is yada yada.
So this is what the machine will look like, just a brief overview of each of the parts.
This isn't an exact representation, obviously, just kind of so you can get an idea in your head.
Yeah. So as we said, we had multiple function ideas at the beginning of this that we ended up discarding. So if the Google Home idea is not something that you think we should use, we have other ideas we can look through as well.
So the overall learning that we learned was we learned communications, teamwork, creativity, and problem solving. Specifically creativity and problem solving, because there's a lot of creative ideas that we had to get through this to make these. So we're like, okay, this sounds awesome, we want to try to interpret this, but then we need to figure out how does it work. So there's a lot of, as I said, torque ratios, things like that. How are we going to mount this to a wall? Things like that. So then what we'll learn is oral communications and presentation skills, maybe like what we're doing now. Design as far as sketches, physics, torque, gravity, and inertia are things that we use a lot in this. And then woodworking and engineering. The reason, I'll go into a little bit more detail, the reason why we thought that we would choose a Google Home is because despite this this machine being kind of a single use type of machine, it does have an easy reset, by the way. It would take about 30 seconds, we think, to reset the entire machine to go again. But the reason why we chose this is that we do not have a Google Home, which is like an Alexa, in this space, so we thought this would actually be a useful item to have in this space as well, so we can, the Google Home would still be fully functional and other kids or whatever can ask it questions at any time.
And that's our presentation.
Yep. Do you have any questions for us at all? Logistics.